is consciousness? What is the spiritual journey all about? And why do some people on that spiritual journey still think that somebody else behaving badly somehow has something to do with them? Somehow it relates to who they are on a deeper level. It isn't so. It is what we call conditioning. Some people take their spiritual awakening and they decide that this is the new means of conditioning. They decide that this is the new way to approach life through a new paradigm of conditioning. When somebody mistreats you, when somebody treats you badly, you gotta leave that situation. You gotta leave that relationship. And there's nothing wrong with leaving such a relationship. Because if you're not gonna leave an abusive relationship, you're going to do a terrible disservice to yourself. You're in a difficult predicament. People are mistreating you. Leave. People are mistreating you. Speak up for yourself. Don't be afraid to be assertive. When you're on a spiritual path, you're not afraid to be assertive anymore. Don't be a pushover. Don't be a doormat. Don't take a spiritual journey and say, oh, now I'm a doormat because I'm on a spiritual path. And I realize I'm totally surrendered to God. So I'm totally surrendered. And therefore, whenever somebody mistreats me, I'll just say, my fault. I created this. I manifested this. Because I only get what I perceive. The universe only gives me what I perceive. God, I've surrendered to Him. Therefore, I only get from others what I perceive. Wrong. Surrender to God. Realize that surrendering to God makes you the strongest person you could be. Realize that surrendering to God by forgiving others, by seeing others as just being there in order to help you on your spiritual growth path, and you'll get off to a great future. That doesn't mean you hang around somebody who's being who's being in a situation, in a frame of mind of bullying you, who's bullying you. That doesn't mean you hang around that person. That doesn't mean you make do with less. On the contrary, when you surrender to God, you realize that that person's on their spiritual path, whether they know it or they don't, and you remove yourself. Don't keep yourself in desperate relationships. If you're in a relationship with somebody who abuses you, if you're in a relationship with somebody who makes you feel inferior, walk away. It's time to go. Forgive them, or at least get off to a journey from within where you're able to forgive them. Like I said to you 2 days ago, I haven't fully forgiven the people in my life, but I'm getting there. I'm on the journey, I'm on the path. Do the same. Forgive those who hurt you, but don't hang around them. Don't mingle amongst them. It's not good for you. Don't make the mistake that some people make on a spiritual path, wherein they think that they need to surrender to everybody around them. They need to be a doormat, they need to be a pushover, and be messed around. And this teaching is actually taught and inferred from this week's Bible portion. This week, Jews around the world read the Bible portion of Vayishlach, and he sent. Jacob sent angels appeasing his brother, offering appeasement. Nonetheless, he had no plans to hang around Esau, his brother. Very shortly after they met, they went their separate ways. They didn't hang around each other. Because to be in an abusive relationship is not good for you. Assert your boundaries. Structure your boundaries. Remove yourself. If you're dealing with a partner, with a spouse, with a husband, with a wife who abuses you, walk away. It's God's way of telling you it's time to walk away. Don't remain in a relationship with somebody who is an abuser. Allow them to get onto their healing journey, on their spiritual path, whatever it may be. It might not be a spiritual path which they are conscious of, and that's okay. If you're dealing with a person who subconsciously tells you, I can't stand you, and then consciously tells you, I can't stand you, and I hate you, and I'm angry at you, and I will hurt you, and then goes on to ghosts you, ignores you, doesn't talk to you, just send out a message to them subconsciously. While it's thinking in your mind, send out a message to them saying, I'm sorry you're in pain. It must be very painful living in your predicament. I'm sorry you're in pain. Think that, don't express it. If you're dealing with a person who's berating you, who's yelling at you, think to yourself, I am sorry you're in pain. I'm sorry you are struggling. If I could fix the situation, I would. But it's not within my grip. So I am sorry you're in pain. And when you send out that message to the universe, that person's soul will say, go on, carry on. I gotta hear that. Carry on saying that. And that person will hence stop what they're doing and stop abusing you. Will it happen in an instant? Not likely. But it will eventually happen if you're persistent. Whenever you're persistent at something, it eventually bears fruits. Whenever you're persistent on a spiritual path, on any means of manifestation and alignment, it eventually bears fruit and you become the product of your manifestation. You become the product of your journey. You become the product of your intention. God has given us godly powers. God has given us immense powers and strengths to be able to decide for ourselves, to be able to manifest and align and create the paradigm which is healthy for us. As it says in Jewish teachings, in the path that a person wants to go, they are led. So why not surrender to God so that you too could be led in a positive direction, so that you too could be led on a positive path, a path wherein you manifest your greatest dreams. Do that. Play the law of attraction the right way. Don't play it within the paradigm of, oh, I'm going to win the $1 million lottery because I follow that person who gave tips on how to do it. It's the law of attraction. Don't do that. Get off to a great start. Get off to a great future by realizing what this is all about. There are people who go from one ego to a spiritual ego. There are people who go from a belief wherein they believe that they need to just be egoistic in order to get their way, to now being spiritual and believing that to get their way they need to be a pushover. To get their way they need to manifest their opinions. They need to create their opinions. They need to voice their opinions. Don't think you need to voice your opinions either. You don't have to voice your opinions. And somebody else with an opposing opinion, that's okay. You send out blessings to them. Somebody says, oh, you got it all wrong. Send out a blessing. Say, thank you for telling me that. Don't say, well, maybe you got it wrong. Or don't say, you're right. I didn't think about it. No, don't prove anybody right. Just send out blessings. That's the way to do the spiritual path. I want to end this video by telling you what I did today on this video. I delivered a message wherein I told you that yes, you need to let go of the past. Yes, you need to forgive the past. Yes, you need to see others who are trying to berate you as just God dressed up in them. And yes, that person's in pain, etc., etc., etc. But don't allow somebody else to abuse you. Don't remain in a relationship with somebody who abuses you, and create your boundaries. And if somebody violates those boundaries, they should be told about it. And if they're still violating those boundaries, you move on. Don't hang around an abuser. And don't be afraid to confront an abuser. Be strong on this spiritual journey. Be enlightened. And don't fear anybody. That's my amazing message today. I want to wish you a great weekend. And for those who celebrate Shabbat, enjoy this Shabbat with lots of happiness and rest and tranquility. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. And I look forward to seeing you in many more videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, press the subscribe button now. Share this video with your friends and family and peers and whoever you like. Sending you blessings We are the light we are. Have a great Shabbat. Have a great weekend.